welcome everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has come together tonight to make this event possible. I'm sure I will leave out somebody, but my apologies in advance. I'd like to thank Pride London for their partnership, and especially Andrew Rosser for coming forward after my tearful phone call on Sunday morning. Thanks to Reverend Bruce from MCC London, Reverend Karen from UWO, Laurie from PFlag, Rod from Pride Men's Chorus London, all of our musicians, our volunteers, staff, Rogers TV, Chris Costello from Exodus Escape Rooms for donating food for the performers in the green room, unsolicited, he just showed up with it, and Christoph Babin from OEArt for donating his services this evening on sound. Thank you. Thank you. Quite the community we live in, don't you think? Please take the opportunity of community tonight to socialize and to get to know one another better. Many of us are coming together tonight with distress, anxiety, fear, and confusion. How can we process this terrible tragedy? I believe that we must first recognize that this tragic event is not an isolated one in our world. The LGBT community is facing eroding rights globally. LGBT people are being tortured and executed in over 80 countries. But think about this. Women and children are also being tortured, enslaved, and executed in many countries. Acts of violence come from a place of fear. Fear breeds fear and more violence. How can we get to a better place, a place away from this fear and violence? I believe we must get to know one another better in our communities and understand that although our ideologies might be very different, our basic human needs are the same. We all want to have good health, safety, creativity, achieve goals, self-esteem, and above all, be loved. Once we realize this common thread of our humanity, we can transcend the ideologies that paralyze us. We must listen to each other's fears and console each other with love and compassion. Let's look inside of ourselves and find all the love we have and send it out to our troubled world. Let's commit to helping everyone in this world who's off the grid and closed down to connect through love and compassion to community. Let's keep building our community of London into one that embraces differences and celebrates them. Let's not live in the place of fear, but in the place of positivity, enlightenment, and above all, love. As we try to make sense out of this tragic event, let's send out all our love to the community of Orlando, the families and friends of those killed and injured, and most importantly, to each other. I'd like to ask Councillor Hubert to come up. Actually, I made that mistake, didn't I? He's the Deputy Mayor now. I've known Paul for many years. Thank you for coming out, Paul.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I know there's a lot of you out there, but I can't see a single one of you because of the spotlight in my eye. But I'm sad to be here and yet honored to speak. And I do say that there's solidarity because I'm going to mention some of my colleagues, and perhaps even without their permission, because I know that all of our MPPs would want to be up here. Sadler, Armstrong, Matthews, our MPs Young, Fragascatos, and Matheson would join in solidarity. And I'm joined by many of my colleagues from City Hall. Probably, I think we have quorum here, folks, so don't move any business, but they're all here and they all stand 100% tonight together. So today we gather in pain, in shock, in despair. A world of evil imploded on Sunday morning, and quite frankly, the world, and certainly this community, will never be the same. I join with Clark and say, how the heck does that happen? And I don't have answers for that question. I really don't. We stand together tonight in solidarity against evil, hatred, bigotry, injustice. And we must never accept that this is the state of the world we live in or the world that we want to live in, frankly. Many of you don't know, but I look at the list of these people screening across the slides here, and almost 80% of the names are Latin names. Many of you don't know that I'm bilingual in Spanish. I lived in Latin America for 7 years, so that pains me on another level in and of itself. But tonight we are united by a couple things. Our common and shared respect for all people, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer, or straight. First of all, we're brothers and sisters, first and foremost, from morning until night, from Monday until Sunday. None of us are perfect. And yet we embrace each other in our humanity. We remind each other of our obligation and indeed our sacred calling to love one another, to respect one another, and for the love that all is holy, to be kind to one another. Together tonight, we all have our own feelings, our own sensitivities, our own reactions. So we reach out to each other to bind up the wounds of a hurting community, this community, our community. And as Clark has said, we reach out and we send those thoughts to the Miami community as well. But we resolutely stand against evil. I don't have another word for it, ladies and gentlemen. I wrestled with it. Bernie and I had a conversation last night. I don't have another word for it. It's just evil, and it's incarnated, and we have to call it that. And we stand against that, but not with hatred, because hatred will only beget hatred, and evil will only beget evil. But we can defeat bigotry, hatred, and evil with love and with respect. So on behalf of your city council and on behalf of the citizens of this city, London, our town, let us stand resolutely against evil and injustice and ensure that there is respect, that there is love, and that we're kind to one another. Thank you very much.
Peter Fragiscatos was unable to be here tonight, but he sent a message to us. Dear friends, I wanted to be with you all tonight at the vigil. However, I'm currently in Ottawa because Parliament is still in session. Like all of you, I am deeply shocked and profoundly saddened at what took place in Orlando over the weekend. The spirit of solidarity that has emerged around the world since the attack is truly inspiring. I am very proud that London, Ontario has joined in formally expressing the grief that we feel for those who have lost their lives, as well as unequivocally condemning actions of hate and domestic terrorism. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. A special thank you also to the organizers in Aeolian Hall. All of you are showing that love, support, and solidarity are more vital now than ever before. All my best. All right, so I'm going to ask Chad Callender, Vice President of Pride London, to come up and speak, please.
I speak today on behalf of our board in the wake of such a terrible tragedy. I want to start by saying that tonight's event is a testament to our community. Clark approached us about having this event and the need to do something that show that we stand with those in Orlando. We thank you for putting this event together, and we thank your team for having us here tonight. When I was thinking about what I would say today, I kept looking for a reason, an answer, or something that would explain this attack on our community. What I have found in the outpouring of support from communities across the country and around the world is that if one thing is for certain, we will not let this bring us down, and we will not let this impede on our progress. We won't forget those we have lost in this tragedy and their families and friends affected by it. We won't forget those we have lost standing for their rights and our rights across the world. We won't forget that we stand here in a safe space while many others can't. We will continue to fight for tolerance, acceptance, and inclusion. We will do our part by hearing and stopping actions against our community. We will stand up in one voice and say that such hate has no place in this world. In times of tragedy, it's hard to know what to offer those affected, or what we can do to ensure that it doesn't happen again. The Pride London Festival invites you each year to join us as we engage and bring our community together. Throughout our prides and prides across the world, we acknowledge our progress, but in this case, we will never forget our past. Pride is not just a celebration at a certain time of year. Pride is not just a parade or a number of events. Pride is not limited to certain individuals or groups. Pride is 365 days a year. Pride is for anyone and everyone. Pride is standing together as we are today with those affected and saying no more. Each year we are humbled by the stories, volunteers, attendees, participants, and partners and others that show support for our community as you are today. The Pride London Festival will always have an open ear to our community, and if there is something that we can do more to advocate on your behalf, we will always listen. One example of the ways we are working to end homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia in our community is through the Hear It, Stop It campaign, and we invite you all to take part. Our Pride is working with others across the country to take steps to ensure all events are safe and welcoming for everyone. The Pride London Festival will be donating $500 to the Victims' Families Fund for those impacted by this tragedy, and all donations today will also be put in this fund to help in some small way ease their pain. Again, thank you for being here, standing together, and sending our thoughts and prayers with those in Orlando.
Next, I'm asking Lori Ward from PFlag to come up and say a few words.
It's hard to believe that only a few short weeks ago, many of us gathered here in this beautiful hall to recognize International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. We understood that we had much work to do, but we chose to look at that night and say, not tonight. We listened to beautiful music from community. We watched a drag show. We sang, we danced, and gathered with our children, our grandchildren, husbands, wives, lovers, sisters, brothers, and friends to say not tonight. We did not know that we would be back here so soon, not to celebrate, but to mourn, weep, hug, and hold one another up. As a mom of an adult gay daughter, and as a member of PFlag Canada, this tragedy and blatant act of hate and evil brought me to my knees. Like so many of you, it left me asking why. It left me angry, and it left me seeking comfort in our beautiful rainbow community. As a PFlag mom offering support to parents when their children came out, they often ask me, will my child be safe? Should I be afraid? Will my child be okay walking the streets? My answer is always the same. Our city, London, is conservative, but it is somewhat safe for our community. I now know I have to tweak that answer. I know that I have to let those parents know that it is safer for their children to come out of that dark, lonely closet and embrace their community. I know that, and we know that, by looking at one another tonight. Look at this room. It's filled with our community and our allies. Look at the person beside you and know that they are here for the same reason as the person beside them. Your child is safer through coming out of that closet. This community is a force to be reckoned with. This community has already looked at the face of hate and evil. During the Stonewall riots, the bathhouse raids, the discrimination our transgender community faces each and every day. But not tonight. Tonight, we face one another in love and in loss, knowing, as in the past, we will come out stronger. We will use our anger in a positive way to show love where there is hate, to agitate and educate people to what our community is all about, to treat all people with respect and dignity. We know that families will forever be changed with the loss of their rainbow children. My mind has wondered how many moms that night found out about the death of their child and their child's sexual orientation. My mind has thought about Jean Manford, who, after finding her son beaten from the Stonewall riots, created the first PFlag chapter. She is the first known mom to walk in the Pride Parade with her child. I assure you, we mums of LGBTQ children will not be quiet. We grieve for the hopes and dreams that were lost that night. I close my eyes and I see all those beautiful souls dancing, holding hands, holding one another, free from fear, free from hate, in whatever their idea of heaven was. I feel the pulse of their heartbeat alongside my heart. Appropriately named was that bar. So tonight, my family and friends, hold on, grieve, get comfort, and know that love will always conquer hate. Thank you.
There's a new choir on the block. And it's part of a network of hundreds of choirs globally. Gay men's choruses are in most major cities in the Western world. Rod Cullum called me a few months ago and asked me if it may be time to launch a choir like that here. And he had this amazing idea of making it open to both people from the LGBT community and also from the straight community. Tonight, we're making an unexpected debut. I'd like to acknowledge that we do have a whole other group of our community outside at the back of the hall watching the telecast on Rogers. Next, we are going to ask Bruce Lee and Karen Lowe, reverends in our community, to come up and conduct a healing, I don't want to say ceremony, but something that you can process in that way, I guess. Please come up.
The ritual of lighting a candle to pay tribute to a life past has long been a part of our culture. Keeping a light burning in remembrance signifies that the memory still lives on and burns bright. It's a ritual that promotes reflection and signifies remembrance. Tonight, we light this rainbow candle as a sign of the unity of our various LGBTQ+ communities here within our own city. We also light this candle to show our unity with the LGBTQ+ community in Orlando and around the world who are mourning at this time.
The former moderator of the United Church, the Right Reverend Gary Patterson, shared this reading at a vigil in Vancouver the other night, and I wanted to share it with you tonight. What can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything you can't stop them from doing. How can you stop them? Alone, you can fight, you can refuse, you can take whatever revenge you can, but they can roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge and start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, and hold a fundraising party. A dozen make a denomination, a demonstration. 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country. It goes on one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again and they say no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more.
As we gather in this place tonight, We join in heart and in spirit with all those around the world who have already gathered and who will continue to gather to pray and to remember and to share in our overwhelming sense of disbelief as waves of emotions continue to wash over us. Questions fly through our minds and in our conversations. Whether with one person, through text message, or over the radio waves, as we try to deal with the news of this great loss. Many of us here tonight did not personally know those whose lives were taken or those who were injured and scarred for life in the events at Pulse nightclub early Sunday morning. But that doesn't matter, because we are united with them. The truth is, we have always been united with them, as they are our people and we are theirs. We are a community of communities within the LGBTQ+ and ally rainbow of possibilities, connected with all other LGBTQ+ and allied peoples of the world. This incident of hate has not united us, but has reminded us of our connection that has always existed. Let us also remember that we are a spiritual people, coming from and celebrating a wide range of beliefs and traditions. We are a people who seek connection and fun and play. We are a people who love to laugh, and yet can be full of anger within the next breath. We are a diverse people, and yet we are bound by greater similarity than by difference. We are friends. We are family. We are lovers and soulmates. We are allies. We are sisters and brothers. We are mothers and fathers. We are as likely to talk politics at one moment and kitchen gadgets the next. But we are not frivolous. We are not to be taken lightly. We are not to be ignored. We do not want special treatment, but to be treated equally, not better than, but equal to, able to share our whole lives and our whole selves, able to contribute to society in our unique ways, to tap into our talent and create in our unique ways, and we will not be held down, broken up, or divided by incidents such as this. Instead, we will do what we always do. We will come together and draw strength from one another. We will laugh, and we will cry, and we will make decisions about what's to come and how we will respond. Our emotions, our feelings come to us and wash over us, and these just happen. We don't have control over these. We can't plan what we'll feel either now or over the next while. But what we can do is choose, and we will choose, both at an individual level as well as within our community groups, just what we are going to do coming out of this time together. When I speak, I often quote many people, one in particular, but hardly do I ever quote a politician. Sorry about that. But this time, I think that Jack Layton said it so eloquently when he wrote to all of us, and he said, "My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. As David Lauterstein, CEO of Nasty Pig, and if you don't know who Nasty Pig is, check it out. He wrote this week saying, "We as LGBT people have a unique opportunity because we exist in every community. We thread together white, black, Asian, Latin, Middle Eastern, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, rich, poor. If we can stand together and eliminate homophobia in each of these communities, we can truly make the world a better place." I feel it is more relevant than ever that we stand up and take pride in who we are and assume our rightful place within the fabric of society. As we and our LGBTQ+ sisters and brothers are in every segment of society, for us to return hate for hate would only mean that we would further be hurting ourselves and closing doors. Let us choose to build something beautiful from the ashes of this horrific event. Let us choose love over hate, as love is so much more powerful. Let us choose to live our lives to the fullest. Let us choose to dance into the wee hours. Let us choose to create and share our vitality with all. Let us choose to continue to form our unique families, our friendships, and share our spiritual experiences with one another, to uplift one another, and to uplift our wonderful city of London. Let us to find ways to build and to strengthen our LGBTQ+ communities and become a model of leadership in our city. That means, though, that we choose the hard path, the path of love and of change, of building bridges and connections with each other. It's the difficult path sometimes. And in the process, let us ensure that we do not further shun, alienate, or push to the sides those that are marginalized, those that are at the edge of society, as we once were treated. But let us to seek ways to build bridges and to open doors. Let us ensure that all peoples are welcome, are loved, and are free to love. Let us choose to celebrate our lives and never live in fear. So stand and make your voice heard, feed your passions, get involved. For those of you who are spiritual people, go deep in your chosen path. And know that if this incident has stirred things within you, but you don't have a place to go to discuss spiritual things, know that you always have a home and a welcome at MCC London.
Tonight and in these past days, we acknowledge that we are a people in mourning. Mourning a death not from natural causes, but from an unnatural act of hatred and violence directed against us. We hear the horrors of what happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, and it cuts into us like a knife. And suddenly our world, which, with the tremendous gains we've made in recent years, which had begun to lull us into a bit of a sense that perhaps we were finding a place to belong, was suddenly ripped open, and it was bleeding, and it was raw. once again. In sharp contrast, I thought of the words of the U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch when she spoke last month addressing the transgender community in the States by saying, "No matter how isolated or scared you may feel, the Department of Justice and the entire Obama administration wants you to know that we see you. We stand with you. We will do everything we can to protect you going forward." And how hollow those words sounded over the past few days. You can't protect us, not when hatred and division are so prevalent in the world. I'm seeing and I'm feeling and I'm hearing so many reactions to what has taken place. A colleague in ministry sent these thoughts to me. One was from a friend of hers, Max Gordon, who knows discrimination as a very outspoken Black gay man in the States. And he wrote, "I've been trying to find new words for the tragedy in Orlando, but the old words are the new words. One man held the gun in the club that night, but there were many fingers on that trigger. I'm choosing to believe that these kinds of desperate acts are a direct response to what some people know is a paradigm shift happening in our culture and on our planet. They may be able to kill individuals, and we mourn those lost lives, but they can't kill all of us. They can't kill what makes us who we are, and they can't kill the courage that it takes to stand in front of your family, your church, your community, and your bathroom mirror and say, I am a gay woman, I am a gay man, I am bisexual, I am transgender, and I choose to love myself. So yes, a man committed an act of violence against a group of innocent people. Unfortunately, these days, that isn't news anymore. But someone will come out today as gay, and she will do so because of the courage of people who are out and proud, like many of those killed in Orlando, people who stood in their truth. And to her friends and family, that will be news, and that is what I choose to recognize. Another woman, Jana Miller, wrote, Orlando is a reminder of how much our lives intersect. Death doesn't just take someone, it misses someone. And in between being taken and being missed, lives get changed forever. I think about all the lives changed here today and the ripple effect this tragedy is having around the globe. The media can blame it on terrorism. They blame it on gun control. But homophobia was at its core. How ironic in a world that goes on and on about love. Poets and novelists spend their lives writing about it. Musicians compose and harmonize about it. And most of us think that loving and being loved is the key to happiness. But when you mention two men or two women in love, many people forget all that and freak out. We may be moving closer to the right side of civil rights history, but we still hate what we fear. I hold out deep hope that this tragedy gives life to some good in the world. I hope Orlando stands as a reminder that while we may never stop acts of hate, love will always win. I hope it reminds us that our differences don't have to divide us, that we're all made in the image and likeness of God, and that the only label required is human. For some, it's times like these that, when retreating into that safe space within, beckons. We all long for security, for safety, for peace. The reality is, many can't be with us here tonight because they're terrified of being now in closed spaces because of what has happened. The irony is, and many of us have learned through years and through the hard knocks of experience, that the sanctuary of a closet with a locked door offers the safety that we seek. So we stop reaching for our lover's hand as we walk down the street. We scrape the rainbow stickers off the bumpers of our car. We seek shelter where we have been welcomed, but we don't dare lift our voices too high for fear that it was all about political correctness. We opt for 1,000 little cuts that slash at our souls rather than risk the bullets that will rip open our hearts. For others of us, we defiantly fly our rainbow flags and dare anyone to mess with us. Our anger turns into rage that we direct against a perceived enemy. Pick anyone in this case, any enemy. American politicians are happy to point them out. The internet is rife with shouts for gun control, the demand to track and shut down terrorists among us. We look for someone to blame, be it religion or rifles. Even we start to pick a little bit at each other. And still there are others of us of our community who feel so overwhelmed with grief, so devastated by this senseless attack that we find ourselves immobilized, unable to cry, unable to act, unable to work, unable to express, unable to love. If you're like me, you've traveled the full range of these emotions in the last few days. You've felt the urge to hide, to strike out, to give up, to defy. But now you have gathered. We have gathered this evening to mark the tragic loss of 49 precious lives and the wounding of 53 others that dared to display joy, that dared to be themselves, dared to stand and dance in the truth of who they are, in what they considered to be a safe space. We are here to mark the disgrace that the LGBTQ+ Pride Month was interrupted by heinous homophobic mass murder and the ensuing Islamic slurs that have interrupted the blessed season of Ramadan. We're here to try and get beyond the fact that politicians and others have hijacked this most terrible moment in history to further their own cause and agendas, and instead to retrain our focus, to mourn our loss, to stand in solidarity, but more than that, to remind ourselves that what we do and others who have so gathered around the world, how we respond has the capacity to change the world. Elizabeth A. Johnson, a Catholic nun and author, has said, "Dangerously remembering the dead in solidarity with their suffering and hope of future blessing has the capacity to nurture once again resistance to the victimization of others." Make no mistake, simply gathering inside, outside, over the internet in defiance of fear, in spite of sadness, anger, confusion, may well be the most powerful act of resistance we have available to us, that exists for those lives that are under constant threat of assault by bigotry and hate. If gathering with pride in who we are as resistance can diminish the further victimization of anyone, then let us gather often. Let us stand together. Let us march together. Let us meet together. Let us be seen together. Let it never create divisions among us within our own community. It's important that our community remains conscious that, as we have always done, we have to celebrate our own diversity, celebrate our own differences, and remind the world that we are united in our humanity. So whatever your response to this tragedy, know this: we are an intrepid people, this rainbow community of ours. We always have been. The tragedies and hardships we have suffered through our history have served not to divide us, but always to galvanize us into a stronger, more vital community, and this should be no different. We are a people whose only demands, whose only agenda is that we be free to be ourselves and free to love. It is because we love so well that we hurt so profoundly. Let us never forget that love is our gift to the world. And above all, let your love shine through everything else that you feel tonight. It's okay not to be brave. It's okay for your heart to be heavy. It's okay to cry as if your heart will break and wallow in its pain. It's okay to be angry and even for a moment to cast blame around where it may not rightfully belong. But then, when you've cried out all the tears you have inside you, when rage has burned itself out, reach into that love that is inside you and take a handful of it and share it with someone beside you. Help them to empty themselves of their tears and break down their wall of anger. And when the two of you have fortified each other, then go on out and look for somebody else. And eventually, one by one, two by two, community by community, we will restore our wholeness and our beautiful audacity. I feel that as deeply as I feel the pain in my own heart tonight. Remember, there are places where we are finding understanding in our community. Places of worship, places of counsel. Find those places. If you are a person of understanding in this community, identify yourself. Listen to queer people. Ask us how we are. Inquire about our families. Text us. Snapchat us. Tell us that you love us. And do not add, no matter who you love. Just let us know that you are thinking about us and are there for us. And don't wait for a tragedy to do it. Don't tell us what you want to do for us. Ask us what we need. We won't forget this event in our history, just as we've not forgotten Stonewall or the bathhouse raids or the AIDS epidemic that took so many from us, or the name Matthew Shepard. In the years to come, the Pulse nightclub massacre will motivate us to transform violence into peace and hatred into love. And someday, we'll find ourselves in the place that we've created through our love and our courage. But for now, let us remember that 49 lives have been cut dreadfully short. Let us not forget that 49 lives that should be with us in this world are not. Let us not forget that families and communities mourn. Let us remember that there truly is only one side to be on in humanity, the side of love, and that love is a verb that must be acted upon now. Not after another death, not after another injury, not after another youth takes their own life, not after another family spends a lifetime mourning. Now, we need to act in love, one-on-one, two-by-two, community by community, with a willingness to see that every life matters.
In just a few moments, we will light candles one by one for each person who lost their life that night. This will be a symbol of our love and shared support for all those affected by these horrific events. As we light the individual candles, you are invited, if you've not done so already, to illuminate your candle and help share the light and the love this evening.
Stanley Almodovar III, 23 years old. Amanda Avira, 25 years old. Oscar A. Aracena Montero, 26 years old. Rodolfo Ayala, 33 years old. Antonio Davon Brown, 29 years old. Daryl Roman Burt II, 29 years old. Angel Al Candelario Pedro, 28 years old. Juan Chavez Martinez, 25 years old. Louis Daniel Conde, 39 years old. Corey James Connell, 21 years old. Tevin Eugene Crosby, 25 years old. Dianca Deidre Drayton, 32 years old. Simon Adrian Carrillo Fernandez, 31 years old. Leroy Valentin Fernandez, 25 years old. Mercedes Marisol Flores, 26 years old. Peter O. Gonzalez Cruz, 22 years old. Juan Ramon Guerrero, 22 years old. Paul Terrell Henry, 41 years old. Frank Hernandez, 27 years old. Miguel Angel Honorato, 30 years old. Javier Jorge Reyes, 40 years old. Jason Benjamin Josephat, 19 years old. Eddie Jamoldroy Justice, 30 years old. Anthony Louis Loren Noldesol, 25 years old. Christopher Andrew Leonolan, 32 years old. Alejandro Barrios Martinez, 21 years old. Brenda Lee Marquez Marcoux, 49 years old. Gilberto Ramon Silva Mendez, 25 years old. Kimberly Morris, 37 years old. Akira Monet Murray, 18 years old. Louis Omar Acacio Capo, 20 years old. Geraldo Ortiz Jimenez, 25 years old. Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, 36 years old. Joel Rayon Peniego, 32 years old. Juan Carlos Mendez Perez, 35 years old. Enrique L. Rios Jr., 25 years old. John C. Neves Rodriguez, 27 years old. Xavier Emmanuel Serrano Rosado, 35 years old. Christopher Joseph Sanfeliz, 24 years old. Yomari Rodriguez Sullivan, 24 years old. Edward Sotomayor Jr., 34 years old. Shane Evan Tomlinson, 34 years old. Martin Benitez Torres, 33 years old. Jonathan Antonio Camue Vega, 24 years old. Juan P. Rivera Valaquez, 37 years old. Louis S. Vielma, 22 years old. Frankie Jimmy de Jesus Valaquez, 50 years old. Louis Daniel Wilson Leon, 37 years old. Gerald Arthur Wright, 31 years old. May their souls rest in gentle peace, and may their deaths renew our commitment to work for a world where no one is rejected, feared, or excluded, where love drives out hate.
We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives.
We are gentle, angry people.
We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives.
We are all in this together.
We are all in this together, and we are singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing for our lives.
We are a gentle, loving people.
We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing for our lives. We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing for our lives.
We have a few more songs to sing. Before I ask our choir to come back up, I want to mention that I want to thank the Chief of Police, who's sitting over there, for being here. He's gone out of his way to make tonight feel as comfortable as possible for all of us. Thank you. So I'm going to ask the choir to come back on.
So I'll take this moment while the choir is getting ready to say how much we appreciate the opportunity of performing for you and sharing some pieces of music that have a message that we think fits the occasion. I'd be remiss to not announce that the soloist, the soprano sax soloist, was Phil Allman. We have two more. Yes. We have two more soloists in the next two numbers, Jim Lawton and Gord Hardcastle.
We shall overcome.
need somebody, just call me. Call me. Just lean on me. Call me. We can work it out. Call me. Yes, we shall overcome someday. You got to lean on me. When the waves roll on over the waters and the ocean cries, we look to our sons and daughters to explain our lives. As if one child would know lost one, as sure as the sunrise, as sure as the sea, as sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again. When the light gets dark with the forces of creation across a stormy sky, we look to reincarnation to explain our lives. As if a child could tell us one, that as sure as the sunrise, as sure as the sea, as sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children.
It's a new voice for London, eh? Do you want to say anything, Rod? Do you want to say anything? Come back on July 21st. We're making our big debut during the Pride Festival, for sure. Yeah.
This was it, Clark. This was the big.
That's it. That's true. That's true. Thank you, Rod, for all you're doing to lead this initiative, and thank you, gentlemen, for a magnificent performance. We're going to finish off the evening with one more musical act. So if I could ask the gentleman to please have a seat. Before we ask our final performer to come up, I just want to mention that Beale High School, HB Beale, has organized a blood drive for tomorrow at 3 p.m. in support of Orlando. You're all welcome to stay and socialize afterwards. We've got coffee and cookies for you. And as well, this Saturday is a big fundraiser for Camp Wendake. Camp Wendake is a camp for people with HIV/AIDS and their communities and families. It is, for many of them, the one moment in the year that they can look forward to a time away from their stresses. Please join us for that fundraiser. We want to raise a lot of money to make opportunities for a lot of campers. Laurie Gerard and I believe Jennifer Reed are here. Officially called Ask Her, and sort of? Okay, I'll let you take it from here, okay?
Hi, everybody. Thank you. My name is Laurie Gerard. This is Jennifer Reed, and I'm in the band Ask Her, and she's in the band Rock Steady. But we're now a band together. Thank you, Andrew, for inviting me here. I've been crying for days, and I'm just very proud to see so many people come out in London and support us. Thank you. I wrote this song for my transgender partner, Mason, because I love him. Whatever the weather, whatever your gender, I'm standing with you. Under this umbrella, you're a fella, and I'm standing with you. I may not always use the right words, I may find it hard at first. It may take me a while to adjust and not notice the people who judge. Somewhere in the middle, life is not simple, but I'm walking with you. Under this umbrella, whatever the weather, I'm walking with you. Between men's and women's, there's nowhere you can't fit. And I am trying to understand, and I still wanna hold your hand. whatever your gender, I'm running with you. Under this umbrella, you're a fella, and I'm running with you. 'Cause I like you the way that you are. Yeah, I was afraid of the scars, but I know it's not about me. And you just need to be under this umbrella. Whatever the weather, I'm standing with you. Under this umbrella, whatever your gender, I'm standing with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only words that come to my mind are ones that I heard when I was a little boy. Go forward in peace, healing, and love.